We are looking at a day in which you are freaking out. I can tell this. I understand this. I know this. It's who I am. I'm able to pick up on this. You believe in a world where things are supposed to make sense. You believe in a world where things are supposed to make sense and people are supposed to be a part of some kind of rational way of thinking. You look at the person who was the Democratic nominee and you're saying to yourself, there is no way that this person could possibly have been selected unless, and this is what's concerning you, unless they know something we don't. Unless, and I know I'm right, unless they know something we don't know, because that's the only way they would have ever allowed her to be president. It's the only way. And it's draining on you, and it's affected you more than you can possibly imagine. And you look at this poll and that poll, and you look at this, and you're saying, "Oh my God, she showed up on SNL." Tomorrow night in Philly, they're planning this enormous event, this enormous concert. Could it be? Could it be Beyonce? Could it be Taylor Swift? And what does that mean? You don't know. You're losing perspective. You don't understand how this thing works. What do I do? Where do I go? I don't go to places of people merely telling me things I want to know. I want people to tell people the truth. Tell people specifically the truth. That's all I want. Just tell me the truth. I'm an adult. I'm not going to be one of these Jessica Stars and sit in my car and scream and yell. No, I'm not going to do that. That's not my thing. Just tell me the truth. Where do I go for the truth? Just tell me the truth. That's all I want to know. And a lot of people really don't care for the truth because the truth involves putting things into perspective and into positions and into piles that they really never thought about it. And you have to talk about things like history. And you have to understand the actual operational aspects of what's going on. How do people get elected? What does it matter? You also have to look at the specifics of those individuals who are involved in the actual counting. We'll get to that in a moment. We will get to that in a moment. But first, dear friends, I say to you, as I always do, and as we do, before we begin, let me remind you that make sure you are still subscribed to Lionel Nation. I'm telling you, people go back and they say, I was just unsubscribed. I didn't hear about, I didn't see you. Make sure you do this. People are getting unsubscribed from X. People are getting unsubscribed. It's the strangest thing. So number one, make sure you are subscribed, which is the most important. And also, remember, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm going to keep telling you this. It's like when somebody says, stop smoking, stop smoking, stop smoking. And you say, don't you understand? My grandfather, stop smoking. My grandfather smoked unfiltered Luckies. Stop smoking. Most people don't get cancer. Stop. It's the same thing. It's this advice you give, which you say, I know what I'm talking about. You will never not thank me for you not smoking. You will never not thank me for going to prepare with Lionel.com and securing your emergency, what the hell is that? And the emergency food now. I am telling you, something is going to happen. They don't have to be in power and in command to know what is happening. Do you understand this? They can do things through labor, through influence, through entertainment. They are not going away. And the more calamity and the more destabilization, the better it is. It is that simple. Preparewithlionel.com. Dear friends, go there and go there now. And one more time, before we forget, before we move on, I want you to remember our great friends at mypillow.com. Mypillow.com. Mike Lindell has been with us since the beginning. And they have the greatest, what they have available is absolutely stunning. It is incredible as we speak. Right now, classic collections, bed sheets, mattress toppers, 2-pack multi-use My Pillows, $25. Sandals and slippers as low as $9.50. Closeout sales. My slipper sales regularly $150. How about $79.98? Christmas is just around the corner. Everything from socks to blankets to you name it. Prepare with Lionel.com, but mypillow.com, promo code Lionel. Thank you for them. They are great people. And I remember people who are nice to me, I return the favor. And those who are not nice to me, I will never forget your name. Never. And it'll never be, there's no forgive. I don't forgive anybody. I don't forget anybody. Never. Forgiving is one of the most ridiculous concepts I have ever heard in my life. Just don't think about it. Whether you forgive or not, I don't even know what that word means, to forgive. But let's go back to this, my friends. You are very, very scared. You are very scared. And I want to talk about this because what did I tell you years ago? Politics is about psychology. It's not about fact. It's about fact. And I want you to understand that if I were to explain this to somebody from another planet, always do this. Remember something. This is a thought experiment. I have been a part of this little self-therapy for the longest time. When I have a problem I'm trying to work through, I imagine I'm explaining it to somebody from another planet. And I'm explaining things called worry. There's Evan Webb, by the way. They came for Peanut and Fred. Vote Trump 2024. May you may be next. There you go. It's very good. I want you to imagine you're talking to somebody who does not understand fear, does not understand worry, does not understand heartache or love or jealousy or whatever, and you're trying to explain this. And when you can explain your feelings, listen to what I'm saying, you will thank me for the rest of your life. When you can explain what you are feeling to a person from another planet, you truly understand the problem before you. You've never done this before. You've never done this. You've never explained jealousy. You've just talked about it. No, explain it to me. What is jealousy versus envy? What is fear? What is anger? What is resentment? What is dread? What is terror? What is worry? What is fright? Because you never have worries about things that are good. So I would explain something to you. Here's this person who comes in, and you don't have to talk to them because you can speak through telepathy. But you were saying that right now, every 4 years, we have what amounts to, and people can argue about this, the changing of the guard. E.D. Crowley says, I am reading World War II. Resistance true accounts to prepare for the worst outcome. Oh, yes. Wonderful. I was just talking to, I had a delightful conversation recently with my new best friend, Sean Atwood. We were talking about life in general and world and this and communications. And it was so interesting how both of us from different sides of the proverbial pond still recognize frames of reference that are similar and dissimilar. World War II was similar versus dissimilar. As I was explaining to this person, every 4 years, we have two major parties, Democrats and Republicans. We have other parties, but they're not big in number. They're there, and all they can do is cleave away. If there was a conservative group, if there was a libertarian group, if there was, here in New York, we have the Conservative Party, the Family Party, the whatever it is. But if there were some other third party like the Libertarians, they would be important because they could act as a spoiler. They could cleave votes from others. But for the most part, we have two parties in this country, Democrats and Republicans, blue and red. Okay. I'm not even sure about the notion of the colors, but I'm sure maybe, who knows, blue is Civil War versus gray in any event. And we call them left and right. And it comes down to the parliament, the idea of the aisles and this side and that side. And there's always these symbologies, and we've used them for the longest time to describe liberal versus conservative, and liberal, which tended to be the Democrats, versus the Republicans. And Republicans, we are still to this day trying to figure out, what do these terms mean? Today, the term lefty and the like has come to mean something completely different. What it means today is left and progressive means kind of hippie, loopy, scared, socially experimental, no rules, anarchic, free love. This is from the 60s, sort of free sex, expanded. Again, anarchic. And anarchy is not what you think necessarily. It's anarchy versus hierarchy. Anarchy says there is no hierarchy. Anarchy doesn't mean there's nobody in charge. It means there's no structure above. There's no. Anyway, that's what Mearsheimer talks about. Mearsheimer talks about his world of realism is that this is an anarchic world. There is no hierarchy. There's nobody above us. There's nobody in charge. There's nobody for our country to call the police. We don't call the police. Our world is based on power, and the more people have the power, the better it is. We need power and we need people. The ones who have the most power and the most people, and then there's economy, but that's power too. That's it. It's nothing personal. It's nothing personal. You have to understand and look at things objectively, as I would explain to this person from this Venusian or somebody. I would explain. It's nothing personal. This is the way humans work. Whether they're in prison, whether they're whatever, it doesn't matter. This is how it works. Recognize this. Recognize this. Think about this. Understand this. And what we have right now is a fight between two forces, but also two people. DB says, bottom line, are you still expecting a Trump victory? Yes. Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to explain that in a moment. I'm explaining a Trump victory, yes. Now remember, there are things that can change that, but I'm not counting on that because that would be ridiculous. You know, but you always have to ask yourself, based upon now, yes, I am. Absolutely. Absolutely. Positively. But before you forget, when you talk about the victory, I want you to understand, what are we fighting against? Raul Rodriguez says, is the fanaticism for Kamala dwindling? Sir, there never was a fanaticism for Kamala. There never was a fanaticism. Do you understand what I'm saying? There never was. Did you get your things? Oh, really? Okay. There was never a fanaticism for her. And that's a very good point. There never was. She came in at the last minute. It was Joe Biden. Maybe it helps to kind of work through this. It was Joe Biden. He was the nominee. She was a vice president. She was never a part of this. She was never a part of this. Let me see if I can explain this. Never. For reasons that I don't understand for reasons I can't explain, for reasons I can't put into perspective. They decided he's no good anymore, probably because of his senescence. Remember, when he was at, we had that event in New York, we had that event in elsewhere. He was walking out and he could barely wave. Now, here's the question. And this is the question I would tell our friend from the other planets. Mr. Rung says, waited 4 years for this, very, very nervous, not sure if I can watch all night long into the morning. And then the end of the week, losing sleep, love you. Of course you can. You know why? Because you're a man. You're a man. You are a man. You are an adult. You are an adult man. And you are adult women. And you've been through events that are important. And as we speak, dear friend, I don't want to be too glum about this, but as we speak today, this is important. There are people across town called Memorial Sloan Kettering. It's a cancer hospital. And there is a pediatric oncology ward. And there are parents crying and worrying about their children dying. Their beloved, beautiful children. Nothing that this election poses is anywhere near that. It's a matter of perspective. Never get dramatic. Never get so wrapped up that you actually become, dare I say, one of these Jessica Stars. Do not be that way. When Trump won, these people saw their world shatter. They truly saw it shatter. It was the worst thing they could have ever imagined in their lifetime. They weren't exaggerating. You may not agree with it. You may think it was silly. I think it was silly. But I just want you to understand something, lest you perhaps put things too much into pressure. Nobody is going to die because of this. We are not at war. There's no Vietnam. There's no World War II. There's no Hitler. There's none of that stuff. Sorry, it's not happening. And that may be surprising. That may be like, well, a little consolation to you. But the most important thing to life is perspective. That's all. It's very easy to get all torn up about this. But believe me, there's nothing to worry about because you're going to live tomorrow. Okay? You're going to live. Evan Webb says, but the few who are still for KHR fans as is amazing. I would explain something to you, to my friend. Just now, my friend from outer space would say, this fellow Evan just now who said this. How do you explain this? I said, well, let me explain this to you. Evan's a good man, by the way. And Dodger says, how does a failed businessman own multiple golf courses and buildings while Harris and Walls have nothing basically? First of all, thank you for asking. Failed businessman? Absolutely not. Failed businessman? Not even close. Do you know how many times Google has gone bankrupt? Remember Google Glass? Remember that? Bankrupt. Bankruptcy is called creditor's protection. Bankruptcy means you're putting it. Do you know how businesses work and that's the idea? DB says, what about the Iowa poll that came out last night? There's DB again. Well, let me see. You're worrying about the Iowa poll? Well, let's look at the Iowa poll. Would you tell me, DB, about the Iowa poll? For those of us who are not seriously looking at the Iowa poll, would you tell us? In fact, I'll wait for you. What precisely are you talking about? But let me go back to what I was saying. There are people who want to understand, how can somebody like Kamala? Did you see SNL last night? Did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see this? Anybody? Anybody at all? Let me see if I can do this. Let me see here. Iowa poll. 12 hours, 12 hours, 12 hours. Oh, Iowa poll watcher says certain people are being allowed to vote. Okay. All right. Again, the poll, I don't know what to tell you about this, but okay. Again, there's a lot of questions here. Last night, Saturday Night Live is trying its best to make sure it doesn't lose any more viewership. Saturday Night Live used to be important. Saturday Night Live used to mean something. And by the way, I hope everybody was not thrown off by your daylight saving or savings. It's also, by the way, people say this correctly. It's called daylight. I think it's saving time. It's daylight saving, not savings. Or maybe it's called daylight saving. And actually, let me correct. This is one of those things that drives me crazy. Although daylight saving time is considered correct, daylight savings time is commonly used. Why do I care about this? I have no idea. That's like the Smithsonian Institution. I'm the only one who cares about this. Do you want to understand? Let me go back to this. SNL is dying. So at the last minute, they brought in Kamala to do the piece with, what's her name? What's her name? You know who it is. What is Maya Rudolph? Now, Maya Rudolph is a very good actress. Maya Rudolph actually does Kamala better than she does. When Kamala came on, she was terrible. No comedic chops, no nothing. She ran the lines, mumbled the words, and it was a joke. And to go back to Raul, she is the person that they put into this as the substance versus the fluff. See, when you're driving along and you're hungry and you see McDonald's, you know what McDonald's is. You're not going there for the arches. You're not going there for the side or the playground or the drive. No, you're going there for what it is. You know what it is. Nobody knows what she is. She is transmuted into this thing where she's never said anything because she was never allowed to develop. She wasn't supposed to be the nominee. And the only thing they have, this is what I would be telling our friends from outer space, the only reason people vote for her is because they hate him. It's about him. Watch the substance. Watch this. DB says, Ann Salter poll that shows Iowa winning Democrats. Okay. DB, what do you want? What does this mean? I love you. What do you want? Let me stop right there. You're fixated on the Iowa poll. And what if I said, don't worry about the Iowa poll? You would tell me, you're just saying that, aren't you? Yes, I am. I'm trying to placate you. Well, what do you think about it? I don't know about the Iowa poll. Nobody knows about the Iowa poll. I don't know what you're talking about with the Iowa poll. That's one poll. I want to read something to you, which is very interesting. Let me show you something. I always start off during the day by going to X. X is still just terrific. Look at this. Oh, the owner of Peanut the Squirrel. Did you see this, honey? The owner of Peanut the Squirrel explains that the New York officials raided his house, took Peanut and his raccoon, and dispatched them. 7-year-old Peanut and Fred the raccoon were, I got to be careful because of these weird algorithms, were dispatched after anonymous complaints. Officers raided my house, and as if I was a drug user. I sat outside my house for 5 hours. I had to get a police escort to my bathroom. I wasn't even allowed to feed my rescue horses breakfast or lunch. I was sat there like a criminal. They got a search warrant for documents. Bobby Kennedy says our government is off the rails. This is not, and now there's a picture of Trump. Did you see how they do it for Peanut?
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay.
I can't believe they spent all the resources, hours going after
Peanut, the squirrel.
Yeah, it was Peanut. He was a trained
right.
Squirrel.
Peanut, the squirrel. This is where we are right now. Now, something tells me, save the pets. What is pets? Pets talked about Springfield. He talked about that. He talked about this. You may very well see, and I hope this goes big time, and Elon can help. We went from, remember the Brett Baer interview, and then it was later on, it was the notion about McDonald's, which was genius, and then later on became Mark Cuban about women, and then garbage, and now it could be Peanut the squirrel.
Did you see any of his? He was a social media star.
Yeah.
He would eat waffles. He was trained.
President Trump, by the way, released this. He said, there have been horrible reports out of New York, my former home, where state environmental agents raided the home of Mark Longo. Oh, yes. And his wife. Mark was taken into custody for hours while officials searched his home and eventually took two of their pets, Fred the raccoon and Peanut the squirrel. This sounds like a Mary Tyler Moore thing, like Mr. Foo-Foo, Mr. Fee-Fi-Fo. A little song, a little dance. These animals were later New York authorities under the terrible governor. Okay. This, I don't know if this is even true, but the point is we don't know anything anymore. But this is, no, I'm talking about the statement, and we're not sure about this. It's a very, very fascinating story. Okay. Let me tell you about this one. There was this one, Alphenstell. Have you seen this story about Alphenstell? Alphenstell CEO says, if white males turn out for Trump on election day, we will win Pennsylvania and potentially the rest of the Rust Belt states. Atlas Intel, Alphenstell. Oh my God, my glasses are. Atlas Intel was the most accurate pollster of 2020. Listen to this. Quote, and by the way, you can go to our good friend Colin Rugg on X. This is the quote. What will really make a difference on Tuesday in a place like Pennsylvania, it will be the white turnout mobilized. This is Andre Roman. If white males really turn out for Trump on Tuesday, he can carry out Pennsylvania. I think the whole garbage truck scene, efforts to mobilize voters, it makes sense from a strategic perspective. This is what he needs to do to mobilize on election day in the Rust Belt states. This is what will make the difference between him winning and losing. He shows right now under Atlas Intel, VJ Giotto shows him winning 275. Okay. But Atlas Intel, let me see this. The polls, again, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not necessarily going crazy over the polls. This is good. But let me tell you what the Atlas poll says, all right? This is breaking. Please forgive me for looking up, but this is what you should. These are some polls. If you like these polls, maybe you like these polls more than others. In the U.S., in a head-to-head, of North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, according to Atlas Intel, ending yesterday, Trump wins all of them by as little as 1 point and as much as 6.5 points. If you believe this, you like this? If you like it, good. If you like it, terrific. Let me just go through this. The Atlas Intel. This is very interesting. Please bear with me, but if you want to hear polls, just in Atlas Intel, the most accurate pollster of 2020, if you believe this, and by the way, don't go to a poll just because you like them, releases their first swing state poll showing Trump leading in every swing state. The poll shows Trump leading in Arizona and Nevada. Okay, now, mind you, things could go wrong, and we don't want to say that because, as you know, certain things aren't important. How about this? Atlas Intel was the most accurate pollster in 2020. Now, is that true? I don't know. Everybody's saying it. Just like that other dude who said he's never missed, he's the Nostradamus. I don't know. But according to this one particular fellow, Josh from Creator Savvy, he says Atlas Intel was the most accurate pollster in 2020. There's no way Trump is losing Iowa if he's ahead in all these states. The next 72 hours are going to be nothing but psyops. Ignore it. Who is this? Ignore it. Keep your head down and vote. This is interesting. Isn't this fascinating? 312, according to him, 270 to win. Atlas Intel shows Republicans him 312. This makes sense to you? Carrie Lake, I'd love to see her winning. Winning the latest Arizona poll. So let me go back to what I'm saying. You see what I'm doing right now? Are you a poll person? Is that it? Does that make any sense to you? Because I'm sorry, this is nice. I really like this. Hang along here. Let me go back. Clown Steve, excuse me. And by the way, there's so much going on this morning. We're in the middle of this charity event and anyway. Dr. Dreamkiller says, stopping by before church, I think I'm the only Midtown Manhattan doctor who goes to church. Don't judge me. Rock on, Uncle Lenny. R.I.P. Peanut. Better candidate than Harris. Indeed. Let me see this. Mr. Cool Miser says they had to run Kamala. No way to refund millions in fraud donations. Granny would be rich. Is interesting. Everything all right, dear heart? Is that our friends? And are they on their way, or what's the ETA? Pardon me. Should I end this soon is what I'm saying. Okay, I'm sorry. Forgive me. We have a very important charity event today for Mrs. L, and we are trying to. Plus, we've got this ridiculous marathon going on, which is a waste of time. By the way, humans should not be running marathons. We are bipedal, not quadrupeds, and we cannot transfer energy accordingly. That's all I'm saying. Okay? All right. Before we begin, my friends, I was very, very remiss yesterday, but forgetting to miss this important word from our sponsor. Listen to this. New reports reveal that the average person has $8,674 in credit card debt. Plus, the total average consumer debt is a shocking $104,215 between mortgages, auto loans, student loans, credit cards, and unsecured loans. Unfortunately, without outside assistance, many will continue digging themselves deeper and deeper into the hole of debt. Now, I've advised and counseled friends and clients for years who want to take back control of individual debt about this secret weapon that has helped so many consolidate everything owed into one affordable monthly payment. They even helped negotiate a settlement agreement that will allow you to pay less than the total balance. Listen, they settled over $275 million in debt, and they've helped people become debt-free in an average of 28 months. I've had such an incredible experience referring clients and friends that I wanted to partner with them here and introduce their services to you, my loyal Lionel Nation family. If you want a helping hand to get out of debt, I absolutely, positively, and strenuously recommend booking a free consultation now by going to nodebtwithlionel.com. Look at the address. Once again, that's nodebtwithlionel.com. Use the link I've provided under the title. Listen to me. You can take control and learn how to get out of debt now. I'm going to try my best to see if I can explain this, because I think what we're doing right now is we're talking about an inability to follow this. For example, Helen Hunt's forehead says, "I wish I was as confident as you, but 2020 looked like a slam dunk for Trump leading up to it, and we all saw what happened." Okay, so do me a favor. I want you to be and enjoy this moment of absolute depleted, soul-wrenching disappointment. I want you to. I want you to put a cover over your head, wear black, go to cemeteries and cry. I'm not trying to be cute. I'm going to give you an analogy, a terrible analogy, but I'm going to give you one. Okay? And it goes like this. Doctor, am I cancer-free? You're cancer-free. But I've heard about this before, where people have been cancer-free and then something else comes up. Yeah. Well, how do I know that's not going to happen? I had a cousin who was cancer-free, and then, well, yes, but that's not the case here. Yeah, but they told her the same thing. She was doing terrific. In fact, it came back even more aggressively than the first time. Well, I think if we had some bad news now, that would be something to really concern ourselves with. But it looks good. Yeah, but that's what they told her. See, they told my aunt this. They told my aunt that she was going to be okay, and she got sick. It's the same thing. Do you see what we're doing? I mean, we're doing the same thing. I mean, this is what you said. What are you so confident about? Okay, if all of the polls were negative, I wouldn't be confident. And then you would, I don't know what you would say then. It can't get better than this. Pilgrim Media says if Trump wins, he should troll the Democrats 24/7. Oh, I think he will, by virtue of his being there. Sicilian Boogeyman says, Bannon says these rat bastards can still remove these things, especially Pennsylvania. Thank you. Now, can I say something with all due respect? And I mean this. Who the is Steve Bannon? Steve Bannon is bitter. He went to prison for reason. He and I think Navarro, he shouldn't have gone to prison. Is Steve Bannon your prophet? Steve Bannon your expert? Steve Bannon your, what is he? Steve Bannon says, yes, but you have Nate Silver says yes. Yeah, but Steve Bannon says this. Yeah, but I want you want to talk, you want to be nervous, and I can't help you. This happens to do, this is the way we are, the way we handle things in life. Give me the data. Steve Bannon, okay. If Steve Bannon says we're going to win this, who the hell is Steve Bannon? I'm looking at all of these numbers, every single one of them. That's number one. Number two, you're going to see a complete and total disruption of, you are going to see a group of people in the world of prognostication and the like, where they're going to be saying some things that are ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. You're going to see seeing people say things that he's going to do great, he's not going to do well. they're going to point to well, nobody who's ever won the presidency didn't win Iowa. I mean, okay, fine. It's like, do you want this? It's up to you. I don't believe anything I'm hearing really from anybody. I'm feeling like if he is going to win, it would look exactly like this. He doesn't have to win by a lot. I predict that there are going to be wins that are absolutely breathtaking. Do not be surprised. I know people think I'm not, but for example, if Trump were to take New York, don't be surprised. Number one. Number two, people have been putting the news out up till now, not to provide you with the news, but to provide you with the storyline that their audiences want to maintain. If you put information out on ABC and you put out another poll, Kamala down by 30 points, they're not going to watch ABC. They're not going to watch Fox if Fox puts out negative news as well. Carla, the cooking CEO, says, hope you have a terrific event. Mrs. L. Lynn's Warriors are the best. Thank you. Indeed. You're going to find out the polling was at its worst. Now, I'm going to say stop. You mean the media polling, right? Yeah. You know what the internals show? No. You don't get the internals. Those are the ones that cost millions. You keep that quiet. Those were leaked out by the Democratic fundraisers who were freaking out over her. Those people were absolutely going nuts. Those were the people who were speaking the most. Those were the people. And you never hear who they are. You never hear these people's names. Do you hear what I'm saying? You never hear these people's names. You never near. So we could do this. Helen Hunt's forehead says, if they let him win, he should say in his speech, and I'm very proud to be the first U.S. president to be legitimately win 3 presidential. Well, he can say that, but he's not going to say that. Helen, he's not going to say that, or Helen Hunt's forehead. What he should do is this, and I've said this. There should be no inauguration. Goes right to work. Let me say that again. No inauguration. No coming down. No. With the security, no. He goes in the White House. He has John Roberts or somebody give him the oath. That's it. It's all required. No bands not to show up. No musical stars to be rebuffed. Nobody to be embarrassed. No. He just completely says, to hell with you all. I'm not going to be a part of this. Thank you and good night. I'm leaving. There is no inauguration. There's no Andrea Bocelli to turn his back. There's no this. I don't have to give these. I'm not going to say things. No. I will give my address from my desk, from the Resolute desk in the Oval Office. I'll be sworn in, and I'm going to go right, and I'm going to start signing things. I'm not going to hold them up. I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to do things you will not know what hit you. Let people find out about it. Let people wonder about how quiet he is at first. Do not say anything. Let me say this again. Repeat. Listen to me. Do not say anything. Speak kind of generically. Don't announce things. Scare people. Show them. Show them. For example, he needs to find out somebody who says, what can I independently remove pursuant to my authority, my unfettered authority as the Article 2 leader, the executive? What can I do? For example, you can shut down the Commerce Department. Thank you. What else can I do? That executive services, executive senior services or SES, whatever, that kind of a civil civil service, excuse me, that provision that provides just millions and millions of people and this just to destroy the deep state. To destroy. What I would start to do is I would be the voluntary cancer. Raul says, when Trump wins, will Schumer stop lambasting him? Probably. Do we care? Nah. Chuck Schumer's a survivor. He's a New Yorker. Chuck Schumer doesn't matter. Trump has to start doing things, and he starts to say, this is what I'm going to do to starve this cancer that is called the deep state or the governmental I don't know what you want to call it, this governmental quagmire. Now, listen to this. Evan Webb says, if he wins, when is he technically POTUS? Has it always been January the 20th? Yes. That's when it begins. It's when he's sworn in. I believe by statute, by constitution, but it's when he's sworn in. You don't have to be sworn in front of a group of 50 or in front of something with flyovers and music. No. That's, if I recall correctly, wasn't it FDR? I think during World War II, one of them, there was no inauguration party, no ball, no nothing. It was just, that's it. He's already been through that. He has to start being symbolic. And then what happens? Listen to me very carefully. And Nelson A says, hi, Uncle Lenny. So DJT has 3 rallies today and 4 tomorrow, and Dems say he has no energy. I know that. They've said a lot of stuff. And also they say like he's a failed businessman. You just keep repeating this. They keep bringing up Project 2025. There is no Project 2025. They keep saying how he's going to somehow be responsible for the elimination of women's right to, but none. Never happened. So we just accepted that's a lie. It's like, okay, fine. But let me explain to you this. There's another little technique, another little mind game, a little thought experiment. I want you to think back after the fact. And when they sit around the table and people start talking about what happened, here's what they're going to say. They're going to say, we are surprised that the media were as bad as they were this time in announcing their polls because of the fact, and this is important, because of the fact that they were so grotesquely wrong by virtue of what's going on. They were so grotesque in terms of how bad everything was. They were grotesque. We thought for sure after the 2020 election, well, specifically after 2016, when they said Hillary Clinton was going to. Remember, 2020 will never be reviewed, nor can it be reviewed. You will never get a final answer. You will never get any kind of a diagnosis. It'll never happen. And what I want you to do is this. I want you to forget this. But here's what you're going to remember about this election. The momentum. You always knew in your heart. Sound like Barry Goldwater. You always knew in your heart that they never had it. You always knew that there was nothing about this group that ever felt this sense of connectedness to anybody. You never saw this before. You never saw Madison Square Garden like this. You never saw rally after rally after rally. There's no COVID involved. It was a different story. You also saw something with the implementation of Elon Musk, with the addition of Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, streaming, individual platforms. The Brett Baer moment. Brett Baer's interview with Kamala will forever, they're not talking about that. That was decisive. And that's number one. Number two, things that happen organically. Peanut the squirrel may, in fact, be a part of this. But think about this. Sometimes it takes certain little things to motivate people. Only you can prevent forest fires. Why did they pick Smokey the bear? Well, it was a little bear that was found. But it was one of the most effective means possible. There are things, there are memes. Humans are into symbols. We salute, we sign the cross, we do a lot of things like that. And what's interesting to note in particular, more than anything else, what's really important and critical to note, is that there is this event that happens that people can grasp. First was Brett Baer. Oh my God, because they never knew. They never knew. Even though they waited, they tried to sandbag him. That's number one. Number two was the McDonald's event. The McDonald's event will forever go down in history as one of the events of events. It was just perfect. That's number one. Next, in no particular order, I guess maybe in terms of importance, the Mark Cuban comment that was so ridiculous about women, strong women. Why? That countered one of their planks, their positions was that Trump somehow was going to destroy or undo or upend, reverse, abrogate, abnegate, invalidate these things, these events involved in, I guess you would call them, for lack of a better word, I guess abortion or IVF or something. I don't know. They just did this. Trump had this thing against women, women's bodies, women this, and all of a sudden, you have women come out of the woodwork saying, "How dare you say I'm not as strong? How dare you?" Thank you, Mark Cuban. Unforced errors, own goals. But then the garbage routine. I never saw this one coming. Only because the rule is the more symbology, the more kitsch, the more kit, the more the more you can involve yourself in symbols, the better it is. The garbage can, the vest, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely, it killed people. And it killed people if you watch. And I'm going to try to, let me see if I can explain something to you. I want you to watch the SNL piece. Force yourself through it. And I'm not going to tell you what to look for. But now I know why they haven't been allowed to do this. There's a fellow who does the best Trump imitation I've ever heard. He does Trump better than Trump. He does Trump funnier than Trump. He's great. It's not that in terms of pure comedic humor, he is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Okay? You understand this? Not Daryl Hammond. Nick Nightingale is from a century that has long been gone. No, it's the young man. He's got 3 names. He's thin. No, it's not. It's not. Watch specifically what they say about Trump, and actually, it's a compliment. I'm so tired. I don't even know where I am. I'm working hard. Then you have Kamala with Doug, with the Slappy, the first husband, the wife guy, this one, and Joe Biden, and they're mocking him. Even the SNL piece mocks her more than him. And then when you see her, you realize she is the biggest lightweight. She's just gushing and laughing. Hillary Clinton I would take Hillary Clinton hands down. Hands down. If they said, listen, it's going to be a Democrat, Hillary Clinton or Kamala, Hillary Clinton. When Hillary Clinton was on with Amy Poehler, Hillary Clinton nailed it, knew exactly what the theme of the piece was, knew how to temper the voice, knew how to reel it in. When she says something like, I don't laugh like that. She goes, yes, you do. She says, well, okay, maybe you do. They tried to repeat it this time. And it was this Kamala basically grinning and laughing and cackling and a lightweight. She was a lightweight, even in the piece. She was inappropriate in a comedy piece. Believe me. Okay. Now, here is the thing. And this is the most important. And we can talk about whether giggly matters. It doesn't really. That's obvious. Tomorrow night in Philly, I don't know what they're going to have. I don't know who's going to be there. Let's assume, I have no reason to believe this. I have no independent information of this, but let's assume Captain Deplorable. Yep. And that was nothing compared. That was just one little. And how many people, Helen, do you think knew what a deplorable was? Really and truly. It didn't sting. But that's all she had because Hillary didn't make a lot of mistakes like, what's her name? Like they do. But let me ask this question. Assume tomorrow night, it's the biggest thing. It's everybody. The Stones, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, whoever, or one of those degenerate thug, monosyllabic, gibberish spewing, ex-con felon rappers with names you've never heard of, including the brain trust of Cardi B, whose renditions of interviews were so filthy, I can't play them. This is whom they select. Do you think that fan base is going to say, well, by gum, I'm going to run to vote for her right now? Do you think so? No. You know it, and I know it. Okay? So what I want you to do is simply do this today. Please remember this. And to our dear friends, Helen Hunt's Forehead and Nelson A. and Evan and Raul and Carla, the cooking CEO, Sicilian Boogeyman, Pilgrim Media, Mr. Cool Miser, Clonus Steve Dream Killer, DB Dodger, thank you, Brad, thank you so much, Edie Crowley, all of you, wonderful and glorious, wonderful, beautiful, terrific, beautiful, wonderful people. Thank you. But remember, take it easy. I think as our good doctor would tell you, if I gave you the numbers, and I said, what do you think about this? I think the doctor would say, this is very good. This looks very good. Yeah, but these could be wrong. Well, that's, I guess, true, but that's better to have these than not have these. Helen Hunt says, I think Captain Deplorable is the name of the impersonator or thinking of he's great. The impersonator, no, the impersonator of Trump. His name is, just a minute. He is the best. And by the way, this Shane Gillis, no, sorry, not even close. The fellow I'm talking about is a young man. Here he is. He is this young feller. Just a minute. I'm going to give you his name. Daryl Hammond. No, terrible. They always do the Alec Baldwin, the worst of the worst of the worst. I'm going to give you this fellow's name. Just a second. I know this matters. Oh, here we go. James Austin Johnson. James Austin Johnson is the best. Just in terms of pure talent and ability, he is without a doubt the best. Now, you may not like what he has to say. You may think it's horrible, but terrible thing. Eaters Dad says, explain how states can vote for a Democrat and or never Trump or governors, then vote DJT. I can't figure it out for the life of me. Well, unfortunately, you would think necessarily that the opposite. How about, for example, if somebody voted, like state of Florida, votes for Ron DeSantis, could they actually vote for a Republican governor, but vote against him? I guess it could be. In terms of the majority, I don't know what to tell you. See, that's the beautiful part. The thing that's the most important, things the most critical about politics is people in the biz always have to make it sound like it makes sense. And like that it makes sense to them. But just remember what I said. These numbers, as Dr. Dreamkiller says, I'm looking at the numbers and these look good. Yeah, but what Iowa? Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on that one. But this looks good. Overall, this looks good. Yeah, but these could be wrong. Okay, fine. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, but in 2020, I know 2020. I understand that. But this is, what do you want? You would never, ever, 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 ever accept really positive poll numbers. You wouldn't do it. In fact, it would throw you off. You're so careful. You would say, "Oh no, you're not. You're not going to sandbag me." Oh, sure. You tell me that he's going to take every state. No way. This is crazy. What about 2020? What about, you're never going to do it. What about this? What about that? You can't, because the idea of him losing is so not far-fetched, so beyond explicable that you can't face it. And you will always challenge. You will always say something because you cannot believe. And I guarantee you, when he wins, you are not going to be able to say, then you're going to say, okay, now comes the problems here. And I tend to agree with you a little bit. So in the meantime, you have a great and a joyous day. Relax a little bit. Lighten up a little bit. Watch a good movie. Watch The Dirty Dozen. Watch something. Read a book. Watch great YouTubes on canning. Go back and look at great moments of history. Just turn this. And if you have to, I like X, Twitter, that news, whatever, it's up. Read about Peanut. Peanut the squirrel. Oh my God. I would make that. Oh God. You think I'm kidding? In any event, dear friends, we love you. Have a great and a glorious day. Don't forget our great sponsors, preparewithlionel.com, and our great friends also at mypillow.com. Wonderful, wonderful folks. Wonderful, great folks. And no debt with Lionel.com. People have benefited from that so much. The other day when we talked about this, somebody immediately says, well, I don't have a credit card. There's always somebody who wants to say, well, I don't watch Facebook. I don't have cable. Oh, thank you very much. Well, I don't need to. Okay. Always trying to find the exclusion. In any event, you know what I mean. Have a great and glorious day, my friends. And until tonight, don't forget these words. The monkey said, the show's over. Sue you.